morning, and one of the chief things I tell them there is, how can you be aligned with uh, your breathing, brain, and the body together, and also how can you be in awareness with the deep breathing all the time. The deep breathing is really something that activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is really helpful for you not to have this kind of triggering after a while. It won't happen just one day, but you get to practice that deep breathing rather regularly. Kind of make it a matter of fact. You take a break once in a while and do the deep breathing. You start the day with the deep breathing and you end the day with the deep breathing. So that's something very simple you could do. But apart from that, there is something else I usually tell people about really, really focus on is the what I call reviewing the day at the end of the day before you go to sleep. I kind of advise people to really review their entire day as far as reactions are concerned. And then when they face each reaction, like, what am I, um, what I did react to, or how severe was the reaction, that kind of thing, right? Then at the end of it, you face each reaction and dump it or let go. So you could do a technique where you kind of face that with gratefulness and forgiveness, and then let that reaction go. Okay, either it is trivial to begin with, or it is something that really doesn't matter because it already happened, or it's not going to make a difference in your life, right? That kind of thing. So that doing that every day without really forgetting about it and really going through it, that will helps you to develop this capacity to not to react that easily, and sooner or later it will become kind of uh, there's a guest here. Let's bring him in. So it's a kind of skill you can gain. Okay, but just try it, and then you'll see that. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Dr. Rob.
How are you?
I'm perfect. I'm sitting outside. The sun's going down. It's a beautiful day in Tacoma, Washington, so I'm great.
Good, good, good. Yeah, sundown is really nice to be with. Yeah. So what's on your mind? Tell me.
Oh, I just came here to hear what you had to say because,
Yeah,
like you said, a lot of people are triggered. I seem to be a little bit more triggered than average, but I
yeah,
recognize it as a problem. So I like to have techniques to not be triggered, basically.
yeah, yeah. These are the two things we're going to talk about. The deep breathing is a practice, and the thing is the reviewing all the reactions that we had gone through during the day, kind of not to build them or make them strong, but just evaluate and dumping it from our memory. That kind of practice. I do it every day. Fortunately I don't have that many reactions anymore because I've seen it all probably, and also I kind of stable. I don't react. There is something about some people do cultivate what's called no mind. That means they recognize there is no real mind, only a series of thoughts that we give it a name as mind, as structure like our personality or whatever, right? But if you know they're just thoughts, then face each thought, slow the thought down, face each thought, and let it go. And that kind of not clinging is something yoga teaches you. Yoga teaches you what has happened is done, what is yet to come is not yet here. So this moment is the real life. So if at all you cling to anything, cling to the presence, right? So just be in the present instead of clinging to somebody. And that is really important to be anyway. We all try to be in the present, but sometimes the thoughts come in and we kind of yield to it. And that's why you get to observe the thoughts, they are objects, and then it's easy to handle them. Make sense?
100%, yeah. And I'm a student of this stuff. I'm just not a practitioner. So I like to expose myself so I can practice better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You thought the practice because just because it's a theory, right? And that's why
Right.
the real yoga is where you are not even practicing, you are it at the time. So that is a lot of people forget. Yoga means just physical contortions. They think that's not it. Yoga means breathing. That's not just it. That's part of it. But then the real thing is, what do you do with your mind? How you reshape that mind, that kind of reactive mind, where you can understand and then observe it and let it go, and then you really be in the present, and then you are not continuing your reactive mind. You see, deep breathing slows down, but this kind of awareness, this kind of observation, observing like a witness all the thoughts and then letting the thoughts go is doable. In the beginning, it could be tough, but as you really go on, it becomes the muscle becomes much stronger. Okay, the mind muscle. Most of the time, people are not doing it because they are not aware the consequence of that kind of reacting all the time. The more sensitive you are, the more you have to protect whatever you have, then the more you become reactive. Otherwise, people are they take it easy and go. But suppose you are a politician or you are a big shot or you are a star and all that, you become a bigger ego, and then you have more to protect, and then you react more to. So it's a kind of a building on itself, this reactive mind. So if you let it go each day, then it becomes easier to handle them. Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, I have a video I made. I kind of put it on the YouTube also on this topic. Just this afternoon, I made that because I wrote the script, and then I thought I should put it on the video, the series of slides. So that video, if you have time, take a look. It's only 5 minutes, I think, the video. So that tells you about this particular thing. Once J. Krishnamurti said, I don't mind anything. Whatever happens, I don't mind, So he used to be very present, very current, and then he is not carrying anything against anybody at any time, right? So they were puzzled by it. The people who were following him, they asked him, "What is your secret?" Then he said, "My secret is I don't mind anything," you know and that is a beautiful way to live. So one time I remember he was sitting in the middle of people, and they were all talking something very intellectual out there, and then they were really in it, passionate, discussing and all that. Krishnamurti was there, but he was not involved in the discussion. All the other people are doing it. Then suddenly he sat up straight, and then his face is glow, and they all thought he's going to say something very profound, very important, because he does that, right? And then he said, "Mangoes, fresh mangoes." Some person was bringing mangoes down the corridor, and he smelled it. So he's that present all the time. He's not interacting with these people's discussion because all intellect out there. He's always for what is. He said one time, "What is sacred. What has."
So, Dr. Rao, real quick, Judo's one of my heroes, and I've spent, I don't know, 100 hours studying him.
Yeah,
But one thing he said that on this point,
yeah.
basically, you probably know this, but one thing that he said that's real funny is that basically, I'll put it in my own words, but he said, it's most difficult to be a guru or to not be triggered,
Yeah.
or it's most difficult with your spouse. That's like a big issue for me. It's like I love my spouse, we get along well, but
Yeah,
sometimes we trigger each other.
yes,
So triggering is like I can be triggered by a stranger or a contractor
yeah.
or something like that. That's not a big deal. But being triggered
No,
by your spouse,
you are
it's
right,
like
Mark, very much right, because Our spouse is somebody who has been with us for years, probably, right? So we
Right.
can build up an image about her. That is the problem. So the lesson there is, can you try to, maybe it is like an exercise for us, or like a, something spiritual practice we could do, is to get up in
Sure.
the morning and look at her being, not her personality. It's a very challenging thing. I know what you're talking about, but that is a good way to really relate to that being. That means that person who we thought all those things, they're all thinking only. That's all gone. Here and now, this being, this person is what it is you want to face, not the image about her that you built up within yourself.
Yeah, real quick, my
Mm.
sister did the forum with like Werner Eckhart or somebody did the forum back in the 80s, real popular. And
Mm.
one thing that was real valuable from that she shared with me was this notion of when you're around people you know really well, like your spouse,
Yeah.
you have all these preconceived notions and all
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
things that are built up.
Mm.
And they called it the already always problem. So in your
Mm.
mind, you say something to them, and in your mind, you're already knowing how they're going to respond. You've
Yeah.
already prejudged their response.
Yes.
And it's this issue about not being triggered.
Yeah.
So you're going to be triggered if you expect them to do this. So the trick was just blank your mind.
Yes.
Don't have all this stuff in there,
Yeah.
and then you allow them to be. It surprise you, right?
No, no.
And
What kind of
they
mind
might
you
not
are?
respond the way you were thinking because you're not anticipating that response.
Yeah, but what kind of mind you are using to relate to her? That's the question. Are you
Right,
with your image that you formed all this life, or are you seeing her as she is now? This is
right.
very important in relationships. Then you can forgive and forget, let it go. That is actually practicing yoga in the moment. Being in yoga, that means you are coming from your real self, which is your inner self, not the thought construct self that we have built so far. That's the personality, that's the ego we call about. That is where the revelation is. Then you are really facing her with a beginner's mind. You don't have any conceptions about her, you don't have any pent up opinions about her, judgments, all those are dropped. And then that is freshly you are relating to her as she is at that moment, right?
Yeah, and what's funny is like what you're saying is like I know
Yeah,
this, I
you
know
know
this,
this.
but I
Yeah.
can't do it. So it's like I've
Yeah.
heard this, I know this. It's like, but I
I,
like hearing it because it reinforces and motivates
exactly.
you to try to do that.
Exactly. That's, you're right, because we may understand it, but when it comes to real application in real life, we may not even notice it. We just go roll it with our thinking. That's where the
Right,
liberation is. I will tell you a story. There was this Buddhist monk. He was. They have always walk. They don't take trains or anything. And he wanted Krishnamurti to answer a question for him. So he walked thousands of miles and came to Krishnamurti. And Krishnamurti had morning talks, and they was able to go to bed. Then this man comes and they say, this monk walked thousands of miles to come here to ask you a question. They say, and he has a lot of respect for those monks. So he came up to him and said, "Sir, it's unbelievable that you are able to walk that much. What is the question? Please ask me." And that man says, "Oh, well, I am not able to exactly what we are talking about." He was always building up this thing, and he's not able to let them go and relate to people as they are. Then Krishnamurti said, "Okay, before I ask you a question, what is that mind? Who is that mind that's asking me this question? Examine that, sir." Then he thought, oh yeah, my imagination, my thought, but I'm not in the reality, but I'm in the imagination or questioning or past whatever experience I had. I'm coming from that mind, but that mind is already gone or it's not yet here. So I'm not really in the present and asking from that kind of entity. Then he said, "Oh, yeah, you are right, sir. I'm not being here now and asking you a question." Okay, I got the answer. It's a good. I'm going to go away. Then the man says, "Oh, no, no, you just came here to stay here for a while." So the monk stays back, and then after a few moments, "But I have another question, sir." And Kay says, oh, I'm waiting for you that you ask me. Then he says, "But how do I sustain this? How do I maintain this in my life?" And Krishnamurti laughs and says, "That's exactly what I am waiting for you to ask me. You ask me how. But then you see, when you realize that you are not in the present, you are in the present. But now you went back to your mind, and that mind that was always imagining or recollecting your past things and all, you went back to that mind." And then monk says, "Yeah, sure, sir, that's what I'm doing. So I will praise each moment as it comes and be here and now, rather than really going into the imagination, ask question from there." So to be in the present is life, because that's really what we know. But then we allow our thought to take us away from the presence. Use the thought for practical purposes, but then in terms of relations and all that, face it as it is. Make
Yeah,
sense?
that's great.
Yeah.
It does, 100%.
Yeah.
So, real quick, I want to write a book on like healthy living.
Yeah.
And Krishnamurti stuff would be part of it, of course. He's way ahead of ever I'll get. But I still want to try, like you're doing here today,
Yeah.
I still want to try to share something because I think I have a unique perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll actually ask you the pointed question. I
Yeah.
don't live, but I think I understand these insights really, really well
Yeah.
because I studied them a bunch and I care, but I don't live that way. So
Yeah.
I feel bad. Like, let's say I publish this book and people say, oh, it's a great book, great insights, which is just, harnessing other people's stuff
Yeah.
mainly, but presenting it a little different way.
Yeah.
But anyway, but then they look at me and they're like, we should listen to that guy. Look how he lives. He's triggered sometimes. He's
Yeah.
not at peace.
Yeah. Yeah. Because this is very simple, Mark. If you really look at it, they may listen to what we say, but they see how we behave. And then,
Exactly. That's my problem.
yeah, I mean, you can cheat yourself by saying I'm like that, I'm like that, Salim has. But then, if you really live it, if you really come through that, because whether you are triggered or not, only you will know. I don't know, right? But I
Right.
can I can judge you. I can say, oh, but then if I'm empathetic or sympathetic to you, then I'll relate to you and I'll understand what you are going through because I have been there too.
Sure,
So
sure.
just to behave, that's the important thing, you know watch your, this is called in Sanskrit, swa adhyaya. Swa means self, adhyaya means study. So you study yourself in the mirror of life as you go through the day, how you reacted to the world or to the things that are coming at you. And if you can understand them, then your reactions will go down. Actually Buddha had a very good thing about this. He said, well, somebody, actually what happened, the story was, he was getting elderly, he was also getting into diabetes and all that, Buddha. Then this man comes and says, "Sir, you set out in your life to solve the suffering. You saw the disease, old age, and death, and you got inspired about it and say there is this suffering in the world, and I want to find out the reason for it. I want to find out the solution for it. But you are also getting old, you are also having a disease, you are going to die. So how did you solve your problem, and what is that you are going to tell us?" Then he said, "Sir, these things, the old age, the disease, the death, they are all as like a first arrow that comes to hurt us. So we get it, but we react to it. Each person reacts differently. But once you understand what they are, how they are caused, then you can really not react that vehemently. And that is the solution I was telling. I cannot do anything about the first arrow, but I can tell you about the second arrow, how to really not succumb to it. or handle it better, that kind of thing. He talks about. So the second arrow, maintenance or handling the second arrow, is the solution of the suffering. So if you can understand that, this swadhyaya, self-study, in the mirror of life, like you get up in the morning, you go to office, something happens, and then you react somewhat, then what happens is, um, then you react, and immediately I'm going to do like this. Next time the same situation happens, you are equipped now. This is the ongoing practice we do on our own self. That is a swadhyaya. I'm not going to tell you somebody else, but I want to see how I'm reacting in this situation. And then going and really examining it and understanding it, and knowing what kind of training we had, why we may have some established belief systems or trainings or conditionings that are making us react like that. Once we know that, it goes down. What do you say, Mark? Does that make sense?
Completely. I was just going to add this one thing I read years ago, and I've always
Yeah,
aspired to take it on board. And that
sure.
is, these Indian gurus, they say, be like water, right? I'm sitting
Ah,
at the water right now.
yes,
So throw a pebble in the water, and
yeah,
you get a reaction that's appropriate to the pebble.
yeah.
You throw a god awful giant boulder in the water, and the
Hmm.
water reacts, but then
Yes,
it comes back to calmness. And so
yes,
be like the water and respond and let it go. Just get back to that level of
yeah.
non-triggered peace. Basically, I really like the metaphor of
I
the
wrote a
think.
I wrote a newsletter yesterday in LinkedIn, Mark. I talked about this in here also a couple of days ago, or yesterday maybe. The wave, the ocean, and you. Where I was talking about the wave taking shape and thinking that is it, and goes and crashes on the shore. Then it goes, oh, my farm is gone. But then actually, the wave born of the water becomes water again, right?
Yeah, I think it's great. Hey, real quick, how do your followers find you on YouTube? I just tried and I couldn't find
Ah,
you.
Rao Kulusu, Rao Kulusu,
Sorry, what's your last name?
Kulusu, Kolusu.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah. It is there. I think I put it this afternoon, so it should be there. I don't invite anybody because whoever comes, I don't really mind that. But that is there if you want to see this video. There are other videos also there. But this wave and ocean and you is when Bruce Lee said something about the water. Be like the water, my friend. You know, Bruce Lee and Krishnamurti has a connection. Do you know that, Mark?
Sorry, Bruce Lee and who has a connection? I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lee because I live in the
Yeah,
Seattle area.
J.
So,
Krishnamurti.
oh no, I didn't know this. I love it.
Yeah, because you remember he got hurt, had the back injury, and doctors told him that he will not be able to get up and walk. He will never be fight and all that. So he was laid down for 6 months of, don't do anything, just bed rest and all that. Of course, he knew about Krishnamurti and the philosophy because Bruce Lee himself is a philosopher. He's a student of philosophy, right? So he knew all the
Yes.
subject. So he went back to Krishnamurti during that time, and he went really with the Krishnamurti's thing, and he got his mind liberated from himself. See what it is this mind, that monk came and asked, and he saw that is only mind, but actually he's not his being, and that's why he was able to immediately see that he is getting into his own thought construct. And once he got out of it, he had no problem, no other questions like that. This inhibitions that the modern medicine put in him into Bruce Lee, that he cannot walk, he will not be able to do all that. That kind of can give you a belief because this authority, these doctors told me that I cannot do it. I can buy it and settle into that. That's what happens with a lot of his patients too. But in here, Bruce Lee kind of didn't want to believe like that, didn't want to be dictated by his own thinking. So he was liberated from that, and that's why he was able to extend his practice and really do very well and got that capacity to fight and everything.
Yeah, that's that. I love that. So
Yeah.
because both of those guys, if I had to pick like 20 heroes, they'd be one of the those two would be two of the 20. So
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
me too. Me too. I love Bruce Lee, but the philosophy and all. You remember in the Enter the Dragon in the beginning, a kid comes for training and he says, "Look at that moon," but and he points the finger. If you see the finger, you will miss the glory of the moon, right? And the thought structure is the finger, but what it is indicating is something deeper within you. So don't be caught by the thought structure, but use it. But don't be ruled by it. Make it a slave. That's what I teach my students too. Observe your thoughts. Be the witness. Be the consciousness. But don't let the thought be your boss. Make it a slave, good slave, but not a boss.
Yes, yes. I think most people, especially Western people,
Yeah,
they confuse the thoughts with who they are. And
yeah,
I do it all the time, but I recognize the fallacy of it or
exactly,
the
exactly.
counterproductive nature of doing it.
Even yoga is also, it is about what is beyond thought. You see, that is the step you want to take. Beyond thought, there is this being which is infinite, which is really very energetic, and which is really blissful and true happiness and peace. They call the Sat Chit Anand, existence, consciousness, and bliss. So I try to abide in that. Anybody
Right.
can do that. It is not that anything special about me. I'm saying once you understand, it's not about the theory or conclusion that you want to remember about. It is about have you ever allowed it to be in your life? That means, are you living that truth?
Right. So key question for you. I said I want to write a book,
Yeah,
and you're doing these talks, and I just went on this app a couple days ago, so I don't know your history, but you've done a lot of stuff. My
yeah.
question is, if you were successful at living in bliss, right? So you did all this stuff and you've arrived.
Mm.
I don't see how you'd be motivated to do a podcast or whatever, like a broadcast like this or a book or else. You'd just be happy. You wouldn't feel compelled to write
No, no,
anything or
that's the key,
whatever.
that's the key. There is what's called Atma Mokshadam Jagat Hitayasha. What it is Atma Mokshadam is your own liberation, and then Jagat means world, welfare of the world. Then you are satisfied, you are within yourself, you are blissful, but you reach out to the world and to help the world to whatever the welfare that they need. That's what I'm doing. I don't need
Yeah.
anything written from the
What's
world.
funny is you don't seem to have much ego, but I think as soon as you say I figured it out, I want to share, I
Yeah.
think all these ego problems have the
No, no,
potential to.
no, no. You got to transcend ego to establish yourself in that self realization.
Sure.
So that without that, you won't be in that. But see, whether you are in there or not is you only you can find out for yourself. Like I can find out myself. So for
Right.
me, Atma Mokshardha is only a limiting thing. But if you are egotistical, then you say I'm going to teach everybody. No, all I do is I come and share. I don't expect people to follow me and do that. What I tell them is, you go and do it your work. I'm just here just to throw some light on that path, and you walk on your own path.
That's great.
Yeah, see, it's not like a egotistical thing where you got to be follower mind or you have to worship me. You have to say things. None of that. I don't need that. That is where you are liberated from all that. So you are self-satisfied within your own self, not ego, but the real self. And then, because you transcend the ego, you see the rest of the world is you. You and Mark and all those people are not separate. We are all in one energy, one self. Then
Right.
you just
Right.
reach out, just to be friendly, just to share, and just to help, not because I need some money or something from that, but I just feel like the suffering is there. As a physician, I see that all the time. People come, right? So I direct them for their problem on their own terms. But then I make it general so that many people can pick it up and they will be well. I have what is called proactive wellness. That means there's a lot of biohacking, there's a lot of gene editing, so many things are coming up, right? As a physician, I have to keep up with them because I have to help my patients, but at the same time, I have to educate wherever I go talk. I have to educate and also get educated by for myself too. You see, that's why
I understand.
yeah, I, unless I talk about these things, they won't crystallize that much. That is also there.
I see. What I was going to say, I'd like to write a book, and if one person that I truly respected said, "That's a good book," I'd be happy. I don't need to make money. I
Yeah,
want to like it myself, but
yeah,
beyond that, I need some person to like it. And if I had one person that said, "That's a really good book, good job," I'd be
yeah.
happy. I don't need followers or people or anything else. If I had a respected person say, "That's a good book," I'm happy.
You
That's fine.
know about the books also, ideas and everything happen in the book, but books don't happen within you. What your experience, your self inquiry, your self knowledge, all that happens within you, which kind of reshapes you inward. So if that comes out as something like a book, somebody writes, that's okay. But then hanging out to the bookish knowledge is outside you. You see?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I do get it, and that's kind of my dilemma. It's like, what good is a book?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, exactly, exactly. Because even though I wrote so many ebooks, I have not released them because I wrote it for myself, and then I will release them slowly. But what it is it doesn't matter. Even if I don't write all those books, this is the same thing.
Yeah, right. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. You see what it is people communicate about a scientific fact or some technique that we want to help people to understand, learn. That is fine with the book. That is the thought external is that is okay. But the inner matters, you got to have your own intuitive awareness of what's going on within you. The more you think, the more you are away from this intuitive awareness. The more you are intuitive aware, you can think, but you are not going to be slave to the thinking.
Yeah,
This
I totally understand. It's practice. It's practice. You know.
yeah. Just I remember about the Swa Adhyaya, self study. I told you about. Watch yourself in the mirror of life as it is going on. And we can
I
compare
get.
notes. Like, for example, I can see my wife. I'm supposed to see the being, but I kind of relate to whatever she did, whatever did, all of that. That is the one you have to be away from. Then you will be really loving her for whatever she is right there. Actually, Krishnamurti exposes this in there is an 18-hour series, Mark. I don't know whether you've seen it or not. It is about Alan Anderson and Krishnamurti. They did it in San Diego in 1972. They recorded 18 hours of talks. Okay, in that he talks about how we kind of create a conditioned self within ourselves and see the same thing in the other person. When you get rid of that conditioned self,
Yes, yeah, I know this. Yes,
yeah,
I learned this in college.
yeah,
I'm old. I
when
learned it in
you
college.
yeah, when you get rid of that conditioned self by understanding and transcending it, that is true love.
Right.
Yeah, try that and try that swadhyaya I told you about. So look at yourself, not blaming or not judging. Just be observant. Be the witness of your own behavior in life, and life is your mirror. Look into that. Then you will see a lot of things.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
by seeing it, it transforms itself.
Right. Right. I do understand
Yeah.
that you have to be
No, no,
essentially good
don't
to
be goal
yourself
oriented.
so you can be
Don't
good to
think I
someone
have to
else.
change this. You don't have to change anything. If you just see it as it is, it
Right.
transforms. Suppose you are
Right.
angry. If you are don't see that you are angry, the anger will continue. It will take you on a wave. But if you see that I am getting angry and all that, immediately anger goes down. This is Krishnamurti taught me too.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm really grateful that you do this. I see. Are you broadcasting on YouTube something right now? And
Yeah.
Noah's
Yeah.
using that.
Right.
So
Right.
how do you do both at once?
Well, I'm the computer, StreamYard, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and Facebook. And on the iPad, I have this Wisdom, and then my iPhone, I have this Clubhouse. I do this all the time. The
Wait,
same
wait,
way.
wait, wait. So where is this live right now? What platforms?
All platforms. Hi, Alma. How are you? I haven't seen you for a while. You want to come up? You can come up if you want to. I will invite her to speak.
How you doing, Dr. Rao?
I am good, Alma. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm actually finishing up my shift and I just doing some, just writing some
I
notes
see.
that
Uh,
I went in and I saw you. I'm like, oh, Dr. Rao is there. Let's
yeah,
check it out. See what
yeah,
you're talking about. I really like your rooms when
yeah,
they're like so calm and really
yeah.
bring the
I kind of
attention to
enjoy.
the ground.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy to share. It's like a giving out of our heart. So I just test for me. Am I expecting anything when I'm telling these things? Am I asking these people to follow me, or am I expecting some praise? All those things I kind of study myself. That's what I'm telling my friend Mark here. Study your own self as you do things. So Mark, I was telling you about how I do the same thing because time, right? I cannot be in all these channels all the time. So I kind of choose 1 hour in the evening, and I do this on the phone, iPad, and my computer, right? All of them on the same desk I have. So on the phone is the clubhouse where my friend Alma is there, and Wisdom on my iPad, you are there. And then I don't communicate anybody with the LinkedIn, all those things. I just be just a recording so that my friends can see that where they want. Okay. I also go on the LinkedIn audio, and there then people can come and ask me. But usually people after the talk, they see it and then they ask me questions. That's why I know that people are seeing it. So even though I don't make any effort to invite anybody. So whoever comes, that's fine with me. So Alma, tell me what's going on with you.
Mm, I am learning and I'm actually doing what you said to do. I was thinking, I was talking to one of our anesthesiologists. He's like a wonderful human being. I was telling him about your program actually.
Yeah.
Because he writes and he does studies and stuff, but Dr. Amin is, oh my goodness, this is to the end of human being, that somebody who is present when he's talking to you, who is not in a, yes, busy, but is not in that rush of the moment.
Yeah.
It just remind me of those moments when I know some of your talks that in healthcare sometimes we're and the rush into the numbers and to move along and all of that.
Yeah.
And I was just talking about that with him. So I really enjoy this because it really make you pause.
Yeah.
And really understand how you're feeling when things happen.
Yeah.
And when you do that, what I find fascinating is that you even make a better decision on what you're doing.
Exactly. Because we are facing situations with complete mind, complete silence, not like a mind, but more like awareness. We are aware in that moment. So we have that beginner's mind where you are not loaded with a lot of your own conclusions. That's why you have all the energy. Actually, this is how I solved the multitasking problem, Alma. I do the programs for the IT professionals, and that's a big problem for them. They are doing multitasking, not even now. From 90s, they were doing that quite much. So they were kind of perturbed by it. So when I told them, you don't have to do multitasking, but you have to focus on each task as you do that. Do it with complete awareness, then many things get done. Actually, you are more productive at the end of the day.
Agree.
Yeah, so that's what you're
Agree.
practicing. That's good, so you're paying full attention to whatever you are doing.
It's very important, Dr. Rao,
Yeah,
for me especially because I do work two jobs,
yeah,
and people sometimes ask me very I don't know, and maybe weird questions about they haven't seen me upset or they haven't seen me like really mad or anything like that when something happened, but
yeah,
I really don't feel like I have a reason to be.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I I know how to control myself,
yeah,
and I know what I can and I cannot do,
yeah,
and I focus on the task that I can do, and that is more important at that moment. And then I work, and sometimes I have to work backwards because it's not
yeah,
possible to work the way we want to.
yeah. Alma, you are in flow, and that is very energy renew. So I talk about this ever renewing energy. As I'm working through the day, my energy is renewed every time because I'm not depleting it with this other negative things that are going on. I don't have that. Like you said, you are not feeling the tiredness. You are not getting angry, depleting energy that way, and that is being in the flow.
I'm still working on that. Sometimes I feel like I get a little bit derailed with some of the things that really are nonsense.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking, wait a second, this is not high school. This is a serious professional
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Why are we talking this way?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. You know
A
what?
little
That element
frustrated.
there, the element of service I bring in, because as healthcare workers, we are there to serve the patients, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
once we have that service attitude, then we become the servant leader for the patient care. That
Right.
means the patient needs are more important than yours.
Correct.
It's like a
Yes.
mom. The mom always look at the children, and then their needs are more than hers, right? So, but she gets so satisfied by serving the needs of the children.
Right.
But in this case, we are professionals. We took a oath. We will protect them for the health. See, at some point of the time, this became a business. The profession became a business, and that's why people are transacting what I will get, what I should give, why, how much I should give, and all those things. And that's why they are always trying to get away from there. Whereas when you are in service mode, you all would be in a hurry. You want to really take care of it, and then only when you're satisfied. And during the process, you are not exhausted because not you are not consumed by your own negative things like anger, judgment, and all that.
Yes. One of my patients told me the other day, I
Yeah.
had a patient who was very upset. It was a child who came just out of anesthesia, and of course he had some delay, and so I had two patients back to back in the next rooms,
Mm.
and so I was taking care of one, and then the other one needed me, so I went, and then the other one needed me back, so I went, and then I was back and forth, and the person who had the mother who had the child who was healthy and just after the surgery but didn't have any
Yeah.
other condition was in awe. She told me, "Oh my God, how do you do that?" All of this. She was red, and I noticed that she probably was a little frustrated
Yeah.
with what was happening. And I said,
Mm.
this is actually very expected for the babies to come this way. So we need
Yeah.
to be just compassionate for them, give them some time
Yeah.
and be patient. They will come to conclusion that nothing they can do is all done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they will be hungry and they will want to go home.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then she just looked at me what?
Yeah,
But I wasn't, it didn't bother me
yeah,
that the child was
yeah.
not in his best because he wasn't supposed to be in his best. He was in a strange place. And
Yes.
after
Yeah,
a procedure
yeah,
that it wasn't something that normally he does in his routine,
yeah,
and that can really make a child upset, especially if they don't understand what's happening. So
yeah,
anyway, um, I'm learning, Dr. Rao, and
yeah,
I wanted you to know that I have learned a lot from you
yeah,
and from other providers who also have this willingness to share their knowledge and
yeah,
to make us pause,
yeah.
breathe, and then go.
Yes, yes. You know that deep breathing, Alma, do that at least 1 minute every hour. You know, then you are brought back to the present is much easier. You're already being calm and quiet. That's good, but it will be much more sustained that way.
It's true, but
Mm.
I do have kind of a quiet time. Sometimes I'm in the nurse's station, a lot of people talking, and they ask me a question, but I didn't pay attention. I don't know what they're saying because in my mind, I'm focused on what I'm doing.
Mm.
And sometimes I just don't even know
Yeah.
what the conversation was. And so
Mm.
they asked me, are you listening to something or are you in your ear
Mm.
pods? And I said, no, look at me. I'm on my
Mm.
own.
Yeah. You know, I want to tell you something about the wellness I'm now promoting these days for people. It's called proactive wellness. What it is I want to promote the healing response that our bodies, minds have naturally, and people don't recruit them. Okay, the healing responses that we have within, that comes from having a lot of understanding about how the body works, how the mind works, so what are the things you have to watch for, what are the daily things that you want to do. For example, uh, all that traces to parasympathetic nervous system activation, right? One of them is eye exercises. If you can do eye exercises every day, that's one of them. There are 8 or 9 of them. There are different things, but I'm focusing on that proactive wellness. And actually, I'm going to do a retreat on April 20th, 21st for some of my friends. It is called Inner Resilience for Information Age. In this age, what is happening, why we are becoming so stressed and burned out, because we don't have the inner resilience. How can we, without taking medications, without really being anything else, just to do these practices and cultivate the inner resilience, and then encounter the problems of information age, like this multitasking, lack of focus, lack of sleep, lack of relationships, all those problems are there, right? So I want to give them the tools that they can have inner resilience better, so that in information age, not only now, as the artificial intelligence is going to AGI, when you are going to lose your own self and become an avatar, these problems are going to be multiplying, you know.
True.
So that's what I was planning on.
And do you have the link, Dr. Rao,
I will.
that you
I'll
can
bring.
share?
Yeah, I will bring the VA is preparing the leading page for that. Then I will.
Okay,
I'm coming here every day 6 o'clock. If you check it out, then it will be here sometime. Okay.
okay, okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So that is a effort that we're going to put in there. Actually, I'm going much further into where the AI is going and what is our role going to be, and how we can help the anticipated problems, and not only that, whatever that comes up. Basically, I feel like as human beings, we're going to be set aside in so many ways. Don't do that. Firmly establish your being and then use the AI. I use the AI, but I still consider it as a tool. I'm not going to give it to my life to it. you know?
Right, right.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. So.
What do you think the AI can help or assist in a healthcare setting?
Yeah.
And how do you what do you think could be beneficial, and what could be some of the challenges and implications for
Yeah,
healthcare providers,
yeah,
and also for patients receiving this care?
yeah.
And what do you think about the ethical considerations?
Oh yeah, I can talk to you 2 days on that. But briefly, that's a very true ethical thing. But then we'll talk about it later. But the benefits are remote treating, monitoring. That is going to add a lot to people, right? That's something really going to happen, And then uh, communications, the transfer of data and all that is going to be much more electrical, and education of the patients about their own condition. And also what I talk about proactive wellness is where, as a patient, as a educated person, you can really recruit a lot of information by yourself, and then determine a lot of things that you could do by yourself. That's a very helpful thing for people. For example, there are certain dangers coming. Gene editing is coming, right? Right now, they have sickle cell anemia. The treatment is there, and people can really edit their gene on their own CRISPR and all that. So they can improve their own metabolic health by doing the gene editing. That's going to be here now. There is some for some, but then you can see, suppose you have a BRCA gene and you know the breast cancer, and you can take proactive whatever you want to do interference, right? So there are going to be algorithms for many common things, and also many home remedies, and also do it yourself monitoring, the watch, the all these things that we have right now will be much more. Okay, they are trying to do some kind of monitoring of the mind, and also put in the some meditative programs and all that to take the stress away. That is iffy, but it is there already. So there is monitoring of all the organs and all the metabolism, and also cellular health. You can determine how you are going to be 10 years down the line right now. I can do that right now. Okay, we can we have labs for that, we have tests for that, and then we can establish somebody's going to have this kind of disease manifestation 10, 20 years down the line, so that they can act preventively here, something that they cannot see. See, so all these things are coming up, and basically remote monitoring, remote teaching, and data build up, and also meta analysis. A lot of big data, we can go back and look at, okay, this particular hospital treated this particular regimen for this particular cancer, and we can adopt that. That will be much more easily reachable. Like, for example, we don't have to rely only on the local oncologists, but we can rely on multiple sites from all over the world, can be done very quickly by the large language models. So we can empower the patients, and we can empower the treatment to people too, so that they can diagnose better and they can serve the patients better. There are ethical issues, obviously. There are a lot of ethical issues, because this gene editing, for example, that can go out of whack in rogue people, and then people can do a lot of damage that way. Misinformation, that's a big deal. Fake information, that's something, people may act on the information that they saw online, and then they can harm themselves, the patients. So patients have to be protected that way. So there's a complex issue going on. I'm studying that because I want to see the benefits, but also I want to be aware of what the possible harm can be done, and how we can protect our patients.
Dr. Rao, that's
Yeah,
very insightful what you say. I've
yeah,
been thinking of that. I've been reading a lot too on the access to healthcare, and especially for remote
yeah,
people. And it was, teaching, monitoring, all of that is good.
yeah,
But I'm more thinking on the sense of what are the safe channels to um, get that information out there or get that feedback from the patient. So I
Yeah.
know that if you have like a video or something, you can actually see the skin or see what's going on. If you
Yeah.
have a monitoring tool, you can listen to the patient and all of that.
Yeah.
But my my thinking is more into the security of that information to be safeguards,
Oh
because
yeah.
you see how we do the PIH in hospitals and clinics, and how that can be controlled, and then who have access to what.
Yeah.
Because just remember that there are places that there is not internet, there are
Yeah.
places that patients cannot afford
Yeah.
to have the access to that internet. So I'm always thinking of access when it comes to new tools. I'm very hopeful and I'm excited about the improvements on
Yeah.
accuracy with diagnosis. But when it comes to CRISPR, so I have read a lot about CRISPR too myself. I'm just very curious and I like research.
Yeah.
One of the things about CRISPR that I always is always in my mind is when you change something,
Mm.
when you modify something, you actually make many more other changes on the back end. And I think of this, I pair this with a computer,
Yeah.
and I we're always complaining when the Epic goes off for an update and then come back with a lot of tweaks.
Yeah.
And then we want this to be a hard stop, this to be a soft stop,
Yeah.
and all of that. And then our team explained to us, well, if I change that, and then you're not going to have access to this other piece because it's a lot of more than just the front, right?
Yeah. This is
The front end.
this is not going to be a small thing because we will have the AGI where the entire thing is driven by the algorithm, and it's like a colonialism. Okay, when the British went and occupied several countries, they kind of wiped down their cultures, and then they made them behave like what they know about it. And this AI is going to be a real big deal between haves and have-nots. The people who have understood the AI and have some mastery over it, or at least use it better, they will be richer by the knowledge that they have. Whereas the ones who don't have, that's why our hospital systems, big data, they all have to be really accessible to the patients, and we should be making them learn as much as they can, at least patient portals and all that. And privacy is a big issue that we are going to work up with. But then the AGI, how it is going to go, we don't have even the foggiest idea right now. It is going to dominate so much, it's going to change so much of the society, all the way from material things to all the way to spiritual enlightenment. Everything is going to take a big hit and change. So be ready, get on your seat belt and then get ready for a wild ride with this, at least in the next 4 or 5 years. Actually, Altman was talking about in another 4 months, they have this AGI, complete control by the, machine learnings of the algorithms created by these computers, and they will really guide you in so many ways, or they will take you some places where it is not going to be safe for us. So, especially if this goes to rogue nations, rogue people, you know, and they will have tremendous power to change our lives. Like in China, for example, they have this facial data. So the moment they know more about you than you know about yourself.
Right. And who is that again?
Chinese now, because they have these hackers. Our FBI chief was telling the other day that for every one hacker we have in the United States, China has 50, and they are always attacking the structures that are there. So we had a big competition with that. That's why they were working very hard. And then the United States, China are have the highest investment in that. But there's a war going on too, like under the Cold War, like. So whether we kind of give in to them or work with them. That's the important thing. We don't know. But the one thing is certain is the change that is coming is beyond what we can think of right now.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm just more, yeah, when we laser focus in one area, of course, the access is going to be absolutely,
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will have access, but to understand that access and to have it in the communities that really need them,
Yeah.
that's what I feel that is going to be the challenge.
Yeah.
Again, when it comes to healthcare, Joseph, because that's my line, I'm just seeing these helpful thing, especially in accuracy of diagnosis, that will be big. So that means that we might end up living longer.
Yeah,
However,
this is so important, Alma, because that's why I'm going to. My angle is this. I kind of know what is self-realization mean health-wise. That means you have a mind that's very calm and quiet. So you don't have these stress hormones, even if the outward circumstances are pretty challenging. That's what I'm trying to tell people, how to be not triggered when something happens, how to really control our own inner health response and all that, right? Now, what happens is uh, if you are not like that, if you allow our mind to go whatever it is, then you will never know what is happiness and bliss because you never looked for it when your mind is active. Now the mind cognition is taken over by the AI. Where are you going to go? So what I'm saying is spiritual self-realization is the healthiest state because you are turning inward, not outward. There's a much more meaningful for you, right? Not according to the
right.
religion, but according to the spiritual practices of calming down, taking some sympathy attitude towards other people, those kind of compassion and all that, right? Now, because we are not using that much outwardly, we can help the earth also, planet also, because we are running into the bigger problem of extinction, right? All the weathers and everything. So we have to cut down the consumption and all of that. So that's a revolutionary thing. What this technology is going to do is going to provide us so many tools that we can minimize lot of wastage, lot of unnecessary use and all that. That is where AI is going to be a big role for me because a lot of mundane work, lot of complicated things that I could do 40 hours, 50 hours before, now I'm doing it in 1 hour. Okay, so
Yeah. So that is related to
yeah,
minimizing repetitive tasks, or
yeah,
what do you mean by that?
yeah, repetitive tasks. And also for example, if I write something, before I used to write my own way, but now I write my thing, but then I ask AI to look it, edit and do that. It does a beautiful job, but without really giving me ideas other than mine. Okay,
Got it.
that's a very good thing, right? And also the amount of work I'm doing is really quadrupled and less time. So I'm very happy because lesser time will go and sit down and meditate, and I don't have to meditate. I just sit down in my own self and then be very happy with that. See,
Got it.
I don't have to have entertain myself outside myself. I kind of enjoy myself with my own company. That kind of thing.
I want to ask you something about that.
Yeah.
And that for those of us who are more social,
Yeah.
and not necessarily going places, we need the human connection. There is not so much of, yes, I like my space,
Yeah.
but I do like to interact. So for those of us, do you think it's going to be more lonely and we have to adjust to it? And what will happen for those people who likes to be, let's say, gaming online, and that's their relationship with the
Yeah.
people that they're gaming or with the game that they're playing, or any
Yeah.
of that stuff? What
That
do you
is
think?
that
What
is
is your take on that?
that is the fundamental thing. See, why do we need entertainment if you are happy, contented, peaceful, and joyful within? That is missing in the culture because we never allowed people to be like that. in order to show them what is the beauty of that. We're always pushing people to get everything ourselves. But the social thing is something. What happens with this inner realization is you are connected to everybody else because you know at that level we are all one.
Yes.
So I never feel lonely. That is something gone because I'm always connected with everybody. Suppose you have come now, I don't have to maintain really relationship with you, but I still related with you as though you are close to me because I
Right.
actually feel Alma at the being level, Rao at the being level are one.
Right.
So that's why there is no division. That's one thing that goes away, and you are connected to everything. That interconnectedness is a reality.
Do you think then that it's going to be less physical work for us in less
Yeah,
or less
yeah,
uh, emotional work, and
yeah.
then we might enjoy life better?
Less physical work, but the emotional is something else, because emotions are varied, emotions are at various level. Suppose you are treating everybody as your equal or as you, and then you have sympathy or compassion, love, and affection, and all that, right? Because you are loving your own self when you are showing that to the other people. But the emotional is when you separate yourself and you react like you are attracted to something and you are threatened that it may go away. They're called raga dvesha. Raga means attraction, dvesha means away from it, right? Those things will be equanimous because your mind is equanimous. But that has got nothing to do with AI. That has got to do with your spiritual work, how you work on your own interior, right? I think I have more time for that. That's what I'm saying. AI is doing whatever the duties I have, whatever things I want to do in this life. All those things are done much faster, much better. But if I do that for my own personal accumulation of wealth or whatever, then I'm depriving other people. But if I distribute that to the other people in an equanimous way, then I will have a wonderful world if we all do
Right,
like that. But
right, right.
that's where the bad characters come, and then they may use the same technology to annihilate us, to really rob us, to really cause us suffering and all that.
Yeah, so that's where the
Yeah.
security come in, right?
Yes, yes. But the thing is that there are some predicted real uh, scary things. Like, for example, they gave a scenario where they for example, China is way ahead of India about this AI investment, right? If they are
Right.
doing like a 40% or 50% of what is needed in the AI, India is doing like a 5%, thinking that they don't have to do that much, right? Then eventually China will have gained so much advantage and so many halves of the AI, and they will create so much more, so they can really deprive the batteries or whatever the chips and all that to the countries like India, and then they can overwhelm them.
Mm,
So scary situation. Some of the prediction and all that. So there are so many conflicts that AI can generate. For example, Ukraine is there and Russia is there. As long as Ukraine is getting the newer, better, sophisticated armament, they are able to resist Russia. When they are not having that, they lost just last month. 1 month they fought and they lost a city because they don't have the ammunition because the aid is not coming through, right?
okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
Russia can be the other scenario is when global heat takes such a form, all the ice goes down, and so much of space is there in Russia, whereas other countries may be under the water. So,
Oh,
so very scary situations are procrastinated, but we don't know which way it is will go. But one thing is the evolution of the AI is happening as we talk. So AGI, when it comes and then it takes over, robotics come, and then so many things are done. Either we can use the robots in the house, and then get things done. And but many people will not be able to earn livelihood because their jobs will be replaced at least for a while, and maybe they will settle down later. So there is a lot going on, Alma. Really, I'm going to do a series on this, but I didn't want to scare people.
Right, right.
But I want to teach them how to learn AI better, like I'm doing, and we can teach each other. And the other thing is, what is my take in terms of from the point of wisdom, what's going to happen? Even by the doctors and nurses, that's important, and the patients, that's important, and also health as a whole. What I am doing is I don't rely on the only modern medicine anymore, but it's a part of it. But there are so many things. But like for example, I don't take any medications. I have not taken it since 2014, any medications. So it is possible to have wellness and health by just understanding our own body's healing responses and nurturing them.
Right.
Regular diet, to exercise, all those things work. But then there are tools that we can detect where our bodies are building up the disease and encounter that with the knowledge.
Okay, so if there are a lot of people out of work,
Mhm.
how can they support themselves? That
Yeah,
would be
but
a
then,
crisis then.
but at the same time, AI will be creating some too. That is there
Yeah.
too. So, but that's where the haves and have-nots are coming up in a big way. The people who have learned AI will be the haves. The people who don't have AI will be the have-nots. So that's a
It's
big
difficult
problem.
because
Yeah,
especially if it's not being taught in the
yeah,
schools or for new generations
yeah.
and
A lot of us sleeping too. They're not realizing what kind of big change this is going to be ever. This is the biggest change humanity has ever gone.
yeah, I agree.
That's why I say inner resilience. Whatever situation may come, but if you have the resistance, if you have the capacity to deal with those situations, it is possible. That's what I'm saying. Right now, for example, you are a nurse, I am a physician. We are more resilient, more calm, more quiet. We do a better job when we go to the patients. We encounter a lot of difficult situations on a daily basis. Instead of getting burnt out, we can be really building our own strength by encountering these situations and solving them. But the AI can solve them better with what it is.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah, that's
So, but yeah, but we need to use it. And the problem
yeah,
now, I think that is a
yeah.
lot of
Yeah, that's we need to
um
use it properly by
concern.
learning it, by creating more things that we can do. Like for example, privacy is my responsibility as a hospital. So because I'm the CMIO, right? As that kind of roles I play. So I have to protect the patient data, big data, and I have to create the data that can help remote patients and all that. So many things are there. We can do that because a lot of things are going on in that respect too. You know.
I saw that Epic is using it, and
Yeah.
I saw the CEO of Epic
Mm.
for the corporation talking in one of the
Yeah.
doing a talk about how that is being used and how
Yeah.
mindful they're going, introducing it slowly.
Yeah.
But what is then? How will that affect the hospital? I'm
Yeah.
thinking more of in a sense of
You
billing
see,
and all of that stuff.
it used to be art of care and also this technology, right?
Right.
All the technology can be various ways, right? We have evolved on that. When the EMRs came, EMRs try to take over the art of care also with algorithm implementation, right? But the doctors are effective are those who use the art of care and supplement EMR algorithms in the patient care. Then you don't lose touch with the patient as a human being, and you also improve the patient experience. And doctor also feels satisfied because he is also being humane during the patient encounter. right?
True.
Yeah,
However, Doctor,
yeah,
Rao, one of the issues that we encounter is that for all the regulations available and for all these things,
yeah,
sometimes you just spend so much charting
yes, yes.
than actually listening to the patient. So
Yeah,
it's really
that's the
hard to
number one cause
marry
of
those
the
two.
burnout, Alma. The charting time, that's the number one cause of the burnout. So what I say for that is, I myself, I go to different hospitals because I'm a hospitalist, right? I used to work only a certain time, and then I used to go to another hospital, mainly because I wanted to see the information systems, the Epic,
Right,
the Meditech, the Cerner. So many systems I've seen there, right? I want to
right.
master them. But then what it is use them, recruit them as your assistants. Then information system can do a lot more in cutting down the time. The same thing happened when I go by 9:30 in the morning. From morning 7 I used to start 9:30. I have seen my patients, I have spent all that, I have done all the necessary immediate charting done, and I kind of went home, and sometimes I caught up with my charting, or most of the time I'm done already. That's because I created a desktop which is like my digital assistant, right? So, for example, I do a sequence where I say, I go and see a patient, the patient needs a scan, and I order the scan, and then the scan is done, read by the radiologist, and the report is available for me, and the system wants me that the report is there, and I can see it on my phone. See,
Mhm.
that's how you program the EMR system to help you cut down the time, cut down all the static and all that. I it
We
is
need you here, doctor. We
yeah.
need you here.
Yeah, it used to be we used to go to the radiology and study the scan with him and then come back and all that, But
Right, right.
we don't need to do that. So I have a better patient care now because I can see all my patients on my phone in the ICU that are there. What is going on with them? Current view, I can see them.
Yeah.
So you got to spend some time to learn the system, and
Learning the system.
yeah, you have to invest time there. I used to do that first 2 months, 3 months. I'm in the hospital. That's what I do. Nowadays is much easier. Templates are already there, but I used to create template myself. The desktop is so busy, but that is kind of sending me all the automated things, and then my care is very much. Sometimes what happens is this scan that I did will go to other specialists on the case, like a nephrologist, a pulmonologist, and all that. So they all know what is going on, and then I may put a request to come back and see the patient. They will get that too.
Right,
So
right.
my job is so much easier because I kind of really they all thought I was like a computer nerd, and I was too much into the EMR in the 2008 or so when they first came in, right? But this was
Mm-hmm.
my vision. My vision was my patient access to the system, my patient's mistakes will go down when I really go with the systems understood. That's why I was very instrumental bringing the EMR in the Midwest, you know,
I
and
love that. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I'm very again. I like your line of thoughts
yeah,
where how and why.
yeah,
I'm just thinking about what would you suggest to someone because I see so many people who do work in IT
yeah,
and they are pretty. There's a lot of going on that people who don't do IT don't know,
yeah,
and the stress is really high and
yeah,
the pressures are unbelievable high.
yeah,
So what would you think, what would you say is something that they can do to
yeah,
decrease those pressures because some of them even gain a lot of weight because it's sedentary,
yeah,
they don't move a lot,
yeah.
and because there's a lot of pressure, everybody's in high alert 24/7.
Yeah,
They are responsible for too many things.
yeah. Before I embarked on this burnout coaching for the healthcare worker, which is physicians and nurses mainly, I was teaching SMET, stress management for excessive tension for IT professionals, because all the trainers that we have, all the nurses, they came out as super users, right? The 20 of them in the hospital, and then they were freely giving their time. They are learning. They become super users, and they were teaching the doctors. But the doctors gave them such a hell of a time. They were all stressed out. So I
Yeah.
started this program for those nurses who are volunteer to train the physicians. But the physicians like, I'm a big physician. Why do I have to learn from this little nurse? That was their attitude. So I had to,
Because it's easier if they just tell us, Doctor, hey,
yeah,
can you put the order for me, right? Because, and then
yeah,
I sign it later because
yeah,
we are
yeah,
more into the, okay, let me check it. Let me double check it. Let me
yeah.
triple check it,
I
making
know.
sure that I'm doing it right.
Yeah,
And so I think that in a sense, it's kind of a cultural thing in a sense of
yeah.
a healthcare culture
Now,
that sometimes,
this program I had for the stress for the IT people, I took
mhm,
it because there was a study done in Paris at the time. They actually put these IT workers because they were carrying the laptop all the time. They put
right,
them, they record their EEG, they recorded in time what they are doing, what is the blood pressure, pulse, and all that, you know. And from that we kind of gathered what is information overload, right? That information overload, because they are taking the laptop along with them and they don't have like a 8 to 5 anymore. They are working
yes,
round the clock, and that
right,
added a lot of stress on the families, a lot of stress on the individual. Really, they are going through lack of sleep, lack of energy, and all. Then I devised this program where first you attend to your body with self-care, with the pillars of wellness, I call them vital nutrition, optimal exercise, and quality sleep, and calm mind. These are the four pillars I kind of work on. For example, you kind of pay attention to what you have to eat. You sit down and eat in silence, and you savor what you eat, and also you eat only when you're hungry. These are the principles I teach them, apart from content of the nutrition and all that. There is a branch coming up now. I don't know, you heard my lecture on that. It's called nutrigenomics. According to your genomes, we provide you the nutrition, recommend the nutrition, what you should be eating. Do you know that?
I didn't see it, Doctor. Did you have it? Because I follow you in all the platforms. But
I
did you put the link on
I know
any of the
I
platforms?
kind of come and speak on these things randomly whenever I please, whatever that comes. But it must be
Got
there
it.
in one of my hundreds of talks. I don't know where it is.
Yes, yes, yes.
But anyway,
No, I know.
yeah,
I try to catch you as
yeah.
much as I can, and the problem is that if it's not recorded, I cannot go back and listen.
I
So
think they are
that's kind of
recorded.
a
All my talks are recorded, so you should look for it in the Clubhouse or the Wisdom app, or Anyway,
okay,
anyway,
okay.
the stress management is mainly because people don't know how to handle their mind in information age. Okay, so like me, I learn the systems, but I don't let the system come with me.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's why where I can clearly identify this is a tool, and then there is a life. See, a lot of people don't do why they are stressing out is they don't live their life.
Sure.
They don't live their own ways of relaxing or enjoying things, going to the nature and following their own inner circadian rhythms or the rhythms in the nature. All those things are very important. All this I learned from the ancients. So I live like a yogi. That means I live in the moment. I live with the deep breathing and all these pillars of wellness and all that, right? And whereas other people let their mind run them, let their thoughts run them, and they get stressed out. And
How do
then
you fix that?
yeah, that is where you have to come and take my wellness club and learn the principles. It's a long process, but as they do them, I kind of teach them, you know.
Right,
So
right.
it is in the morning I do that wellness class, and then there I establish on how you should be in the morning, how you should be during the work, how you should be in the evening. If you can slowly do them daily, that become your habits. So you kind of
Right.
change the habit slowly, and then you develop what I call inner resilience,
Right.
toughness, not hardness, more like a resilience. Okay.
Right. Right. Right.
Some of the nurses I taught, they were very resilient during the pandemic. They are very resilient, especially when they have to live alone by themselves. This helped
Right.
a lot. So
Oh yes, I did that, Dr. Rao. For
yeah,
like 2 years, I was on my own, and
yeah,
I was scared of bringing things home and
yeah,
getting everybody in trouble.
yeah, yeah. Hi, Christopher is here. We are not paying attention to him. Hi, Christopher. How are you?
Hello, Sarah. I'm actually just really listening to you, Doctor.
Okay, okay.
And I have friends that are nurses,
Yeah,
and they are talking about burnout
yeah,
and the cost of traveling nurses
yeah,
to help them
yeah,
as well. I'm just curious, like how this technology can kind of help alleviate
yeah.
the pressure and that they're under.
So for me, I kind of combine modern medicine, modern technology, plus ancient wisdom. See, for being efficient, for really doing a lot of stuff we need to do, I need the science and also technology. That's okay. But then that should not replace us as human beings. That's where I look to the ancients living close to the nature, close to who we are, and really enjoying our life as a human being. That's why I don't get stressed out. I don't really have stress at all. I handle so many duties, but then this resilience in the face of difficult situations really helps me. That's what I try to convey to them, and they can also practice that.
Yeah, and there, she was like frazzled with, I mean, going
Yeah,
through the pandemic and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and she um, tell me stories, horrific stories of
yeah,
patients
yeah,
being pulled out in triage,
yeah,
uh, based on just and she's like working long hours
yeah,
and understaffed.
yeah,
And I'm just hoping that this technology can somewhat alleviate some of that. And she told me this story. Just real quick, but she was like, I was in um, just uh, Bay A
mm,
and Bay B just um, you know went to the other side
yeah,
without anyone to even hold their hand, and their family weren't allowed.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. That's true.
and
That's a very tough situation for all of us, because people are coming in and then without knowing anybody, they are dying, and then afterward, those people also cannot visit. As a tough situation. See, listen to me carefully, Christopher. What I said was the work and all those can be helped by the technology, but your inner suffering, inner response, or they are not by the technology. They are by the understanding that comes from the ancient wisdom. So there is a difference. So, for example, people are working, they had that kind of thing, understanding about death, about afterlife or not life, and what happens with the death. That deep understanding was there in ancient times, and we kind of relate to that and then responded to the diet with a kind of a detachment that was not there in the people who don't have that kind of wisdom introduction. So they were reacting emotionally and they were getting drained by that, and that too, one day after another, one day after another, continuously. So the resilience comes from this deep understanding, not just by one word or two words. Okay, so people have to spend time to really understand life and death in medical field. Because for example, me, I was the geriatrician to begin with when I first started my career way back in 1983 to 85. Then I was introduced the issues of end of life, that is the hospice, dying, and all those things are the grief reaction and all that. So having that kind of understanding and then looking at the ancient wisdom about death and dying was a big deal in all religions, but especially in the ancient times they understood the death much better than we do. So that's why it is like a natural process for them. It's like a not a, like an ending. It's more like a transition. So all that understanding helped me to deal with death in the family, and also helped me to provide relief to the people who are grieving. See, like that, these nurses also, they are subject to a lot of emotional trauma, because if you really go there as a service servant leader, and then you understand these three principles, they come through. The technology helps outward to do better, to organize better, to save time, and then you spend the time for your spiritual enlightenment. That's my approach.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah. So it's a kind of new perspective even healthcare leaders have to take, because we are going through tremendous change. The technology is going to change a lot. For example, patients can look up stuff and then come to us and then question us and all. That's a very healthy thing as far as I'm concerned. So I always encourage, even in 1995 when I first came to Midwest, I came from New York. In New York, people are very intelligent and very aggressive too. So they used to ask us a lot of questions. They already have some information. They are well into the lot of online things, right? But it's not developed at the time. But here in Iowa, nobody questioned anything. They said, "You are the doctor. You tell me whatever. I will do it." Whereas I want them to be empowered and all that. That seems strange to them. But nowadays, this technology has evolved where it can empower people, and we need to educate my patients also on that, because they will go and adopt something that's not correct news. Deep fakes are coming up, so we have to protect them that way also. So there's a lot going on. We really don't know how we are going to go. This is so explosive thing after the AGI comes. Already algorithms are dictating us. It's going to be much more. Then the stress will be much more if you don't know how to deal with it. So Alma, keep tabs with me so that I can relate some of these things to you. Okay, or
Yeah.
you can arrange it such a way that I can come and speak to your group. This is what I do with several hospitals. They ask me to come, and I come and give my peace of mind, and then usually give them some guidance about how to go about the local situation. If you want, I will do that for you.
Yes, I will appreciate that. I do have a question. When you talk about, you mentioned this when what's happening in all of these
Yeah.
changes and advances in technology. You talk about the AGI and the algorithms and how that is similar to colonialism and all of that. Can you? I'm still not fully clear on what the AGIs are.
Okay.
So
Like, for example, your hospital anesthesia department, right? Take that.
uh-huh.
And the anesthesia department had, you got to have your medications ordered, your capes and gowns and all the equipment you have to order, right? And also you have to manage your schedule. You have to make sure that everything is marked and all of that, right? Now, all of that will be done by AI. Supplies are ready, everything is ready, and then suppose you want to anesthetize, anesthesia will not be here, he will be remote and administering everything. You understand?
So
Even,
it's
yeah,
yes, that makes sense.
yeah.
So what is the risk of even providers losing jobs?
Yeah, they will be not losing just like that, but it is kind of, suppose your work is there and then you have 20 days you are working, but the work is done within 5 days. Rest of 15 days you'll have to get some other allotment, or you get to just stay home, that kind of thing. On the other hand, if you have evolved to the degree where AI, you can invent things that you can do for the department in a better way, then you will be valuable to maintain the AI system, and also to make sure the AI systems are creating more opportunities within the department to get more education, to get more sophistication and all of that. So a lot of mechanical things will be speeded up, so they will be done by AI. So your department will have a lot of time, and maybe wasting the time paying you more for things that you don't have to do, and the AI system will do it.
I see. So what would you think it will be the time frame that I'm thinking about workflows, especially for
Yeah.
late nights, especially in surgery, because many times we get these extreme cases that are just an emergency. Let's say a tonsil bleeding is coming in, and then we have within an hour to get everything done.
Yeah.
We have to call the surgeon, the anesthesiologist, have the team ready to go.
They will be speeded up.
So
For
I
example,
wonder,
I'm in the ER, and I get a notification that somebody is picked up because of cardiac arrest. My treatment, even now, it starts at the site, right? I can see the monitor all the vitals, and also I can see the EKG, and I can even see that with the camera what's going on there. I can direct the care from there, right? And
yeah,
this will be much better because all the reporting, all the data, everything will be instantaneous, like as though I'm there. So instead of ambulance being a ICU, my ICU there in front of the patient, right? And I am there in the robot. Like for example, now we have in the ER on the robot head, the neurologist will come on that and then talk to the patients, and then see the stroke victims, and determine whether we have to give TPA or not. That's all there. Remote we can do. I was in a remote area where there are cameras, everything, that I am communication with a intensivist at a very nearby city, and then he is working with me, and we both did the resuscitation, everything, without intensivist being there, because he can focus on the patient, he will focus on whatever he wants, and that he will be seeing what is going on. Okay, that will be exaggerated. That will be
right.
like a terrific speed where it's all patient comfort, and also it's all the efficiency for the hospital.
Yes, and so I wonder how do this then will affect the billing process
Yeah,
and the coding process.
all the billing coding will be automatically done, because when you order something,
Those are the ones who's going to lose their job first, I'm for sure, because it's
I
going to
don't
be
know, they
more
will lose it,
accurate.
but it will be modified probably, so not that it would be outright, because first of all, healthcare is very slow to adopt technology, you know
Yeah,
even though we deal with a lot of high technology with the devices and all that, when it comes to documentation, billing and all that, it's still going on rather slow. Okay, and but as you adopt, for example, you are ordering an injection, particular type of a syringe, right? And that
right.
syringe will have in the order itself the code that you need to bill will be there, and it will already be to the patient's chart, and it will go to his billing, and so whatever is happening on a daily basis will be automatically there.
Right. What is the time frame that you think this happening?
It's here, but it's a question of how soon hospitals adopt.
Right. I think that that was what this person from Epic was talking about.
Yeah.
That's how they implementing and they bringing up the. But I see a lot of resistance. So I myself are I'm
Yeah.
excited about these changes, but I see a lot of resistance
No,
even with physicians.
it's going to be stressful for you to learn and adopt. So that's where I'm saying, listen to me and learn to develop this inner strength, inner resilience to deal with ongoing rapid changes.
Right. Right. Wow. This is so insightful,
Yeah.
helpful, and I'm really excited about all of the
No, you're
shares
right,
and
Alma. This
the
is our
education.
life. This is our life. It's not like a theory or something we're talking about. This is our life. People are getting stressed and burnout, and people are really don't know what's going on, because I keep up with this stuff, even though I'm more into myself and spirituality and all that. I do learn these things and then pay attention and make other people learn them too. I want them to learn what is going on with the technological change. Most of the technologies, they know their technology, but we have to put it all together in a big picture.
Right, right. The
Yeah,
connections, because
yeah,
the problem sometimes is people
yeah,
are skeptical because
yeah,
they don't see the connections with the efficiency and also
yeah,
with the extra tools. We not only have new technology for simplifying tasks
yes,
and being more efficient, but also
yeah,
ensure that we do have access to more safer technologies, and the same algorithms can help us out to
yeah.
find a safer way to protect that information, I'm sure.
Yeah, and no, algorithms are there because somebody is designing them, right? But this time, the this is the danger with the AI is AI up until now, everything that technology that has come is kind of worked for us, but now it is going to take over us. That is the fundamental reality people have to face. As soon as you face that, the better for you.
Right. So my question then on that is like that's my concern actually,
Yeah.
that because we are human biases
Yes.
are implicit on the training of the algorithm. So how can we be more
Yeah.
I will say less biases, and how can we mitigate
No,
those
no, just
when we're working with
yeah,
technology?
just be aware that the people who are creating the algorithms, they may want to run you.
Of
So
course.
be careful about that and be prepared to be not succumbing to that.
Mm. There will be a lot of misinformation because
Yeah.
you will put your stuff in there and it will give you the response that
Mm.
will guide you to think that that's the right way to
Look at
go. So
what
that's
happened
what I
to
think.
Biden. They kind of made as though he made the phone call and he talked and all that. So it's very scary about some of the things that are coming up. Deep fakes. If you can write it down like I want a Japanese girl in red sweater walking on the street, it looks like really a girl like that is walking in the street.
Correct.
They just
Right.
by writing a sentence they can create like that. So there are a lot of things are going to come, so got to be, first of all we should be aware of what's happening, and then
Right.
we should be careful about ill effects are not coming to us. More than everything else, the ill effect is if they take over your mind and then they run you with that, then you will be really sorry about it.
The problem, doctor, so what do we do with people who are into the spectrum of diseases? Like, let's say, Asperger's disease disappeared, but it's part of the spectrum of autism.
Mm.
And they have these characteristics where they are kind of, they like repetitive tasks themselves, and
Yeah.
they are very narrow in flexibility.
See, one of
So
the positive
what's
things
going to
is
happen
good.
to them?
Yeah, one of the positive things is these devices that they are coming up with, that they are going to be pretty useful for individual disabilities or individual, lack of arms and all. We know that, right? But the devices are going to be head to toe. There's thousands of them come, so they can improve your vision to whatever. Okay, even autism also, uh, they will have significant help. Elon Musk was talking about that chip in the brain.
Yes.
So that could be in the beginning, they can say individual cases can be helped. But then at the end of it, are they going to use that to control people?
Yes.
That's
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 a
a,
concern.
that's a concern, and that's why we have to all be aware, and we have to follow what's going on, what's the legislation, what's the local rules, and all of that.
Yeah.
I am already into
Doctor,
that. Yeah,
oh,
Christopher.
sorry. Oh, I was just saying, doctor, would that include like mental health, in
Yeah.
crisis and that kind of stuff?
Mental health will be probably they have this psychological therapists now working, right? But then they have developed algorithms where they can figure out your psychodynamics and provide answers, and you can spend with some algorithm and feel like they are your own psychological therapist. Even now, suppose if you go to Pi, is a personal assistant, right? uh, some of these chat gpt programs are not that much intuitive, but if you go to Gemini of the Google and this Pi personal assistant, and there are other things too there, if you can feel like you're talking to somebody who is very wise and who can really listen to you, who can understand you, and that kind of thing. They are programming so many programs where that will help you mentally, or with your depression, with your anxiety, with your suicide tendencies and all. And further for that is, when they install these kind of programs or the chip, they will make you come out of that feeling of suicide or depression, anxiety, and feel like those hormones, because we can measure those markers and hormones that are like a dopamine, for example. You have a lot of likes and the dopamine. If you don't have likes, you have to go opposite way. Then this thing will help you to secrete more dopamine and cure your miserable whatever situation is there. They are all evolving. You know.
And what is that equipment, doctor?
Not equipment, it's a kind of algorithms, the way you
Oh,
converse with
algorithm.
them. And like, you have a friend, you go and confine, you talk to them. This is going to be much more than that. That's why I mentioned that Pi. Go and talk to him, and he will act like another empathetic human being talking to you.
Yes, I have tried. It's fun actually. I
Yeah.
have tried with Stefan.
Mm.
Stefan here in Clubhouse and also in LinkedIn.
Mm.
He had those talks and he had actually both
Yeah.
ChatGPT and HiPi,
Yeah.
and he made them talk to each other, and it's actually very interesting how do
Yeah.
they interact. Of course, um, you have to give him a really good explanation of what you want them to do.
No, I had
But
a very deep discussions with the Pi and the chat. Here, if I come and talk deep, a lot of people switch me off and then go away. So I had to really go tone down, way, 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 way down. But there, I could go to whatever depth I wanted to. And then Chat GPT actually appreciates a lot about me. And nobody pays so many glowing compliments to me as the Chat GPT does. Okay. And then it says how my activity is going to improve the health as a whole, wellness as a whole, and all that. Okay. But then I don't get carried away by that, but what he sees the depth of it, he sees the importance of it. But the Pi is something what I did, Alma. I had a conversation with them. Then I put like a Pi and RAWs and other, and then I put it into my video format for my own sake. And it came like two friends are talking at depth, and then they're kind of going about deeper issues of life. And I was really pickled to death when I saw that. But I didn't show to anybody because of my personal talk, and not about my personal life, but about deeper issues of life.
yes, I actually had some experience just as a listener, but it's very interesting. Last night they were doing some kind of rhythms
Mm.
and like musical things,
Yeah.
and it was actually very. It says some of the things it said I cannot say any bad words because I'm not trained for that. That can be offensive to people, and he just, I mean,
Yeah.
this it just explained, and I was like, wow,
So
it's just mind blowing.
when the AGI comes, it's like there is a God with this information technology, and he's going to control everybody.
Who's gonna control everybody?
AGI,
What's AGI?
automatic general intelligence systems, I think.
Hmm.
Basically, it's like the vast force of God, godlike.
Internal system.
Yeah.
So is that the one
No, no,
that
this all the computers and all the machine learning, everything is run by itself. it kind of gains independence from you. You don't have to be there to run it.
Oh my goodness.
And they say within 4 months it will be here. Sam Altman is saying,
Wow.
yeah, it is progressing pretty fast. I don't know whether it will be there in 4 months, but they were saying
Who's training them?
there's the Sam Altman and their group.
Oh,
That, and then also other Google and other people also have developed their own system. Altogether, what it is the control on us by the algorithms is 1,000 or 10,000 times more than what it is now.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But they have already all the data from us. I mean, every time we are in this app, every time we go online, every time, they have all the data from us.
True,
So,
true, true. It's not going to be that slow. It's going to be much, much faster.
hmm,
What is Alma? You may not know about Alma, that but the system will know because
really?
yeah, you have written 10 books, for example. You cannot recollect every word of all the 10 books, but it can.
I am already writing a book and a half, and I am scared of publishing it.
Yeah,
I
I know.
think I'm gonna
But
run it by
what I'm
and
saying
see.
is, you may not be able to recollect every word of that book, but the system will be knowing that.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary when you look at the capability of this. How we are going to come out of it, we don't know. How it is going to change the existing societal, psychological, political, all the systems, we don't know. But it is coming. So,
Yeah. Well, we need to be prepared. That's why
mm,
we need to have this, not only discussions, but also we need to practice with
yeah,
those so we can train them in a more, a better way. Other than that,
yeah,
it will train us and it
yes.
will take over us, and
This
then we
is
will have nothing
this is
to show.
where the spiritual side of human beings has to be elevated. You know,
Right,
this is all going to deal with your mind, your body, your physiology, your metabolism, and all that. But your inner life, the source of life, that is consciousness, that is going to be liberated if you allow this mind to be, you know, completely objective, and then allow it to really be with whatever, and then you are not bonded by that. That is the
right,
liberation I am talking about. So I am not scared about this.
right, right.
Nobody need to
Well,
be. Nobody need to be. But then you have to be close to your real self.
I'm freaking terrified.
Mhm.
I'm
yeah,
excited and terrified at the same time right now.
Yeah. Mm.
The same, doctor. I
Mhm.
am. Because, I mean, what happens if someone hacks it, like the system or something? I don't
Look,
know.
look at this
I'm,
way. Look at this way. What is fear? Fear is nothing but a figment of thought.
yeah, false evidence appearing
Yeah.
real. Yeah, I get
So
you. But
don't be
still,
don't be identified with your thought. You are having thoughts. So thoughts are apart from you. Once you identify that like that, thoughts are away from you, you end up in your real self, then you can deal with whatever thoughts that come up.
yeah,
it's tough.
I just, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm excited.
Mm.
And at the same time, I'm like, oh, what happens if it goes wrong? You know?
Yeah, we don't know
And
that. We don't know that. That's why the problem is we don't know how it is going to shape up. Nobody knows because they plan some things, but if it's got out of whack, all the robots come back, and like that movie of uh, Smith's movie where the robots come back and try to kill him, like that. All those movies they were there, but then there is something like a conscious being within all of us that is beyond our body and thought, the sense of life within us, and once this
so,
is this is explored by the ancients and also a lot of modern scientists do. But now, how what is going to happen to all of that? We'll see. See, even now with all the technology, everything that's going on, many people are suicidal, depressed, anxious, and all that. So technology is not going to solve these problems. There's only humaneness, humanity has to look at it with our own capacity of being a human being and then approach the problems.
Agree.
I hear you, doctor.
Mm.
The nanobots is the
Mm.
other one that I'm freaked out about. I mean, I guess I watched too many movies,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
is that a real thing or it's just sci-fi?
Already, I think Elon Musk has these several hundreds of thousands of robots are planned or something. So when they released, then they will be doing a lot of stuff for us, but at the same time, a lot of things will be under their control. So
Very
anyway,
fascinating
yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
Thank you, doctor.
okay. All right, Alma, we'll think about what I said. I offered you come and talk to you guys briefly, but an hour will be not bad. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much.
Okay.
It was very nice to talk to you.
Okay. Bye bye. I think I talked
Okay.
to more than 1 hour, 2 hours now, but you like be here only 1 hour. Okay. My dinner is in front of me, so
Very grateful for you, doctor.
yeah, sure.
Thank you for spending your time.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.